welcome back to my channel. I know it's been a while. I actually was pregnant and going through those rough first trimester weeks, but I am better and ready to show you guys some fun new stuff. So today I am going to show you how to make this beautiful beanie. It is a double brimmed beanie, so nice and thick right here. And then as you can see, we have this gorgeous texture. Something new that I'm doing is I really want to showcase indie dyers over the next year. And so what better time to start than early? And so I'm going to put down in the link this indie dyer where you can find her on Etsy. And I will also let you know which colorway I got. For today's tutorial, I'm actually going to be using another one of her colorways. I bought two. So I made this one as a sample, and then I'll be using the other colorway for today's pattern. So again, this is just a DK weight yarn for this beanie. I did a double brim right here, seamed it together, and then came up to the top and topped it with this fun little pom-pom I found at Joann. So we're gonna dive right in and get started. So the first thing that you're gonna need is a 5.25 millimeter hook. This is just one that I picked up at the craft store, and then a DK or size 4 yarn. And again, this yarn in particular in the indie dyer that I used will be linked down below, and I'd love for you to go check out her store on Etsy, look around, maybe even make a few purchases, and hopefully this little pattern will encourage you to maybe try out some indie dyed yarns yourself. So for starters, we're just going to make a simple slip knot. And we're going to get that on our hook. And we're going to begin by chaining 21. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21. Then in the second chain from the hook, you're going to just work a single crochet. So this one on your hook does not count. We're starting down here. So 1, 2. Right there into that one. We just work a single crochet. You insert your hook, yarn over, draw up a loop, yarn over, pull through 2, and just place a single crochet into each one of the stitches all the way across. And this is our ribbing to the bottom of our beanie. So it's a bottom up sort of a pattern. And for this particular size, this would fit probably like pre-teens to adults. So you just keep working all the way up until you get to the end. All right, once you get to the end, you're just going to chain 1 and turn your work. Now, in order to create that ribbing effect, what we're going to do is we're going to be placing a single crochet into the back loop. Now, if you look at your work at the top, you've got these little V's right here. When you're going into the back loop, you're only going to go right there into that back loop versus going into the stitch, which would cause your hook to work under both of those. So your chain 1 counts as a single crochet, so you don't put anything there, and you're just going to work right there into that back loop, a single crochet just like normal. So there's your V right underneath there, right into the back loop. And just work in the back loops all the way across. And even just completing this first little row, you can already see we're getting that little raised texture right there, which is what helps us have that lovely ribbing look, which is what we're going for. So just single crochets into the back loop. Okay, so when you get here to the end, just on this first stitch, I recommend going under both. It's going to ensure that you don't have like this weird kind of hole thing that can happen. You'll kind of get this weird hole here. So just on this last stitch, just go underneath both. And this will help you have like a nice, clean, straight edge, which is what we want. So you'll chain one and turn. And remember that chain one is coming out of that loop. So we already have a single crochet there. So we go into the next one and we just work single crochets in the back loop. So when you get to the last stitch, remember that was a chain one. So you want to make sure that you go there. And again, just being careful to always crochet into that chain one space so that you can have nice, even, straight edges, just like that. So in order to get the size that I made, which is like a preteen to adult size, basically an 18 to 20 inch circumference head, you will need to do a total of 76 of these single crochets in the back loop rows. So go ahead and crochet up yourself 76 rows and then pop back into the video and I'll show you what to do next. Okay, so now that we have completed all of our ribbing, what we're going to do is we're going to take these ends and we are going to single crochet them together. So the key here is to just make sure all of your stitches are lined up. So just go slowly and we're going to go under both of these stitches right here on the end and just simply do a single crochet and go into the next stitch and just going slow and making sure things are remaining aligned. Don't have to speed through this because obviously you don't want the work to pull too tight or too loose. So just kind of pace yourself as you're going along. Stop. Make sure everything is still aligning. And just work those single crochets to attach this band into a ring. Now remember, this is a double brimmed beanie. So once we get this seam closed, we're actually going to be folding this in half so as to create that thicker bottom layer that you see at the base of the sample beanie that I created. As you go into that last stitch, again, just do that one final double check just to make sure everything is totally aligned, and we are good to go. Okay, so now that we have kind of like this little tube that we've made, what we're gonna do is, I'm gonna pull this out a little bit so I can fold it. So we're gonna take this and we're gonna fold that seam on the inside, and let me see where our tail is. This little tail piece of yarn, we're gonna stick that inside like that, and we're just gonna kind of line this whole thing up. So this is the brim, the double brim of our beanie. So again, the idea here is go slowly so as to ensure that nothing is pulling too tight or too loose. Just tuck that down in there and line up those seams just like so. That little guy doesn't want to go down in there. Okay, we'll get a couple stitches in. Now there's not really like any stitches here, but you use your ribbing as your guide. So like one stitch will go here, one will need to go right here on this indented line, another one right here. So we did 76 ribbing rows, and you should have 76 crochet stitches. So we'll start just kind of right here on this indented one, and you're just going to kind of put your hook in and then come straight across. And once you get a few in, it's a little bit easier. Right now it feels wonky, but once we start to get more of it closed, it makes a little more sense. But again, just use that ribbing as your guide. So we did one right there. Now we're going to make sure to put one right here. Another one right here on this popped out one. And then right here in between. And if you kind of look at the top, it's a little difficult to see, but they do kind of mimic each other. So these stitches are the same, and then these two, and there is a little bit of a similarity in the tops. So again, go slow, count, make sure that you're putting the correct number of single crochet. So again, you did 76 for the preteen to adult beanie, and you want to make sure you did 76 ribbing, so you want to make sure that you have 76 single crochet. So just go ahead and do that, and then meet me back at the end and I'll tell you what to do next. Okay, so now that we've got everything closed, you can see we've got this nice thick brim and it's all closed up. We're going to be making this sort of bean stitch. It's really simple, really easy, and we're just gonna work our way in a continuous round. So just like over and over and over again. So there's not gonna be any slip stitching or anything like that. So right here in this very first stitch, we're gonna insert our hook, yarn over, draw up a loop, yarn over, pull through one, yarn over, insert into the same stitch, yarn over, draw up a loop, yarn over, pull through one. We'll have 1, 2, 3, 4, and then yarn over and pull through all 4. And then to finish it off, you just do a chain 1. You skip the next stitch and you go into the next one. And it's the same thing, just like we did. And go skip, go into the next one. And don't forget to do that chain 1 at the end, skip, go into the next one. And so what I want you to do is I want you to do the first round, And I'm going to meet you back at the end, and I'm going to show you how you just keep going round and round and round. So go around and get back to this spot, and then play the video, and we'll talk about what to do next in order to keep going until you get to the top. Okay, so I'm back here, and right here in the last stitch, you're just going to make that same bean stitch like what we were making before. And instead of like, slip stitching to that, we're just going to skip this little space right here, and we're going to go, so do you see how right here there's kind of like this little triangle right before the next bean? You're just going to go there and make the next bean stitch, and then skip and go into the next little triangle space before the bean. So there's the bean, there's the triangle, and there's the next bean. It's that little triangle space right in between both of the little beans. So I'll show you again slowly. So you have the bean, that stitch right above it, and then that space right there, that's where you make the next little bean stitch. And you just keep this up all the way around. So like when you get to the end, you're always just going to be working in that little space. And if you look and see on the sample, the beans, they're kind of like on top of each other, and then the colorway just kind of almost visually gives this like swirling effect, if you will. So basically what you're going to need to do is you're going to work up in the round, you're going to work these bean rows until you get to approximately, so you're going to have about 15 rounds of the beans in that section. So work up that section, and then I'm going to show you what to do at the top to close it, and then also what you can do to get like one of these Joann or from Amazon or even from an Etsy seller, faux fur poms, and how you can securely attach them so that when you want to wash your beanie, you just like pop the little pom off, wash it, and then pop it back on, or even change colors if you want. So again, just 15 rows of the, or rounds of the beans. Come back and I'll show you how to close up the top. Okay, so now that we have all of our bean rows made up, what we're going to do to kind of help close the top a little bit is in the spaces where we would have normally put a bean, all we're going to do is a simple single crochet. And as you work your way around the top, you're going to see the opening kind of gather closed a little bit. So the same space where you were doing your beans before, which is that little triangle space right there, you're going to work a simple single crochet. And you'll just do this all the way around. And then after we do this, we're going to snip the yarn, leaving a long enough tail for us to be able to sew this opening closed. And then we're going to attach a button so that we can more easily switch out pom-pom colors or take it off if we want to wash the beanie, any of those things. So just single crochet in the bean space all the way around, and then I'll show you what to do next. Okay, so at this point, we've made our way back to the beginning because now you can see it's a little more taut and we're just having single crochets here. So what you're going to do is leave yourself a decent amount of tail, snip that, and then what I like to do is I like to go ahead and do a yarn over pull all the way through just to tighten that. And then taking our tapestry needle, and this is really simple, this isn't hard at all. We're going to kind of pull that, and then just working in the little V's or in the stitches, you're just going to kind of go in one and just weave that tapestry needle like so, and just pull tight. And then just in and out of those stitches, really simple and easy. Pull it tight. Just going in and out. Just as many as you can at a time. Oops. In and out like so. And it's gonna get a little finicky at the end because things are getting tighter, but just be patient and go with it. So we're getting really tight now. You can see where our unwoven stitches and woven stitches are. And now we're back at the beginning. So everything is nice and tight. Now here is what I like to do. I still have a little bit of an opening right there. So I'm going to reach my hand into the beanie. I'm going to grab my needle and we're going to turn this inside out. So we've pulled the beanie. Let's get focused here. Pulled the beanie inside out. So we pull that as tight as you can. And then just holding that top spot, we're just going to go in and out of these stitches, pulling tight to make sure that that space is nice and closed and secure. So there's really no like right or wrong way to do this. The more back and forths you do, the more secure it is. So just weave yourself all back and forth. And sometimes I like to do like one of these, like where I pull it and then I've got this loop, so I just stick my needle through that and make a knot. So once that's all nice and secure and there's no little hole like where you could stick your finger in, we're going to take a button. And this is really simple. I would suggest getting a 4-hole button, not 2, or yeah, just 4 holes. 6 is excessive, but just 4, just a typical button. And we're going to secure that right into the center spot because that is going to be where we secure our pom-pom to. So then you're going to do like crisscross. You stick your tapestry needle through like that. And now we want to make sure that this button sits nice and tight against here. So we're going to kind of look through here and staying somewhat close to where the button is. Just kind of push that tapestry needle in there like that and pull it tight. And again, it's kind of finicky, but I mean, it's hard to mess it up. So then we're looking for that next crisscross hole. So you just kind of stick it in there like that, pull up and go back through, and I just like to stick my needle in there like that. Okay, so that's nice and tight, and then I'm going to go through again one more time. So just sticking my needle anywhere in the yarn up underneath the button, going crisscross again, just like so, making sure that I'm weaving it underneath the yarn at the top, like that. Coming back through. And then, so we've done it twice. So now all I'm going to do is I'm just going to kind of like wiggle my tapestry needle underneath the fibers under the button. I'm going to do that in just 3 different directions. Getting it nice and stuck in there. And then I pull my tapestry needle off. And then as close as I possibly can, I snip that remaining yarn. So as you can see, the tail that we had at the beginning is inside of our brim. And then the last closing top of the tail is hidden nicely underneath our button. And now what we'll do is we will take a faux fur pom-pom, preferably one that has one of these elastics on the end. I picked this up from Joann. I love these. They have different sizes. I think they have 2 different sizes, and then there is an array of color choices. So these are typically, it doesn't say it on here, they're typically $5.99. So I usually like use a coupon, or if it's end of season, you can get them for like $2 or $3. So I highly recommend trying to stock up whenever you can. So obviously we don't necessarily have a designated space where we can feed this through. So what I like to do is I've got my hand inside the beanie, and right here, you can see my finger. I'm just going to take this elastic and I'm going to feed it through that little hole and grab it. And because it's an elastic, I can pull this like really tight, and that's what we want. We don't want a loose pom-pom. So now, just like, you know, you were putting a ponytail in your hair, you're just going to do this back and forth, back and forth, back and forth over the button, making sure you get it nice and tight. I think that actually might be enough. Nice and tight against the beanie. And then whenever you want to wash, or if you're like, you know what, I want to change this color, you totally can. You have the freedom to do that with these little pom-poms, which is one reason why I like them. And that's it. That is the little bean beanie pattern. I hope you enjoy it. If you head below, I've got links to this amazing indie dyer. Her name is Coast to Coast Yarn Co. on Etsy. It's linked down below. And then if you hit the link as well to my website, you can sign up for my email newsletter and get this PDF for free. So thank you so much. Make sure you like and subscribe, and be sure that you come back for the next video. I am on a new upload schedule of Monday through Friday uploads, where videos will be live at 1 p.m. Central Standard Time. So I have lots of fun things in store for you all. I hope you enjoy making your own, and I'll just pop both of these colorways into the camera real quick. This is both of the colorways that came together that I got from Coast to Coast Yarn Co. So, yep, I hope you guys enjoy, and I will see you in tomorrow's video.